It makes you feel insane, not confused, not insecure, insane, because your mind keeps colliding with a reality that refuses to make sense. You watch the man you love, the one who says he needs space, the one who says he's overwhelmed, the one who says he's not good at emotions, and yet he seems perfectly fine with everyone else, laughing, engaging, responsive, present. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a casual friend, maybe it's someone he insists is nothing. But this person gets the best version of him. You see him light up. You see him joke. You see him reply instantly. You see warmth, ease, emotional availability. And then he turns to you. The real connection, the real bond, the real risk. And suddenly, the walls come up. The face that was smiling goes blank. The messages become short, delayed, dry. The warmth evaporates, replaced by a cold, clinical distance that feels surgical. It feels personal. It feels targeted. It feels like rejection with a pulse. Your mind screams, "Look, he's capable of intimacy. He just doesn't want it with me." And that thought tears at your self-worth. Because logic tells you something brutal. If he wanted to, he would. But listen to me carefully. You are trying to understand this through logic. And logic is useless here. Because what you're witnessing is not preference. It is survival. The brutal truth is this. He treats the option better than you. Because the option does not matter. And you do. That sentence alone can destabilize your entire understanding of love. So today, we are not soothing you. We are not comforting you. We are not giving you cliches. Today, we are performing a forensic analysis of the male attachment system under threat. We are decoding why low stakes create charm and why high stakes trigger shutdown. And this is the only way to stop gaslighting yourself. Because once you see it clearly, you will never unsee it. Let's begin. When you watch him interacting with someone casual, you are not witnessing authenticity. You are witnessing a performance. You are watching the false self, the version of him that exists, only where there is no emotional cost. Why does he seem so relaxed with them? So open? So available? Because there is no threat. In neuroscience, the attachment system is a biological alarm. Its job is to track proximity, dependence, and emotional exposure. With a low-stakes person, that system is dormant, offline. The brain does not register danger. There is no fear of losing himself, no fear of being needed, no fear of being seen, because he has no intention of merging. That means the amygdala stays quiet. No cortisol, no alarm. Instead, the interaction is driven by dopamine. Dopamine is light. Dopamine is fast. Dopamine is cheap. It feels good because it is safe. When he texts the option back instantly, he's not choosing them over you. He's engaging in a dopamine loop. That requires nothing from him. No vulnerability, no depth, no emotional responsibility. It's the psychological equivalent of a video game. Quick reward, no consequences. The option is an NPC, a non-player character. They reflect validation without demanding intimacy. They don't ask, "Where is this going? What do you feel? Can I rely on you?" And that gives him his drug of choice, control. With the option, he retains 100% autonomy. He can walk away at any second. That knowledge alone is what allows him to stay engaged. So he wears the false self, the charming persona, easy to love, impossible to know. He listens. He jokes. He responds, not to connect, but to pass time, without exposing his inner world. It is an exchange of data, not an exchange of souls. And this is where your perception gets distorted. You see ease and mistake it for compatibility. But ease is not intimacy. Ease is indifference. Gravity only exists where there is mass. The relationship with the option has no mass, no weight. So he floats. But you have mass. You have gravity. And that is exactly why everything changes. The moment his attention turns toward you, you assume being the real choice should feel like safety. You assume love should bring closeness. But in his nervous system, love does not register as reward. It registers as threat. The moment you cross from option to meaningful, his brain chemistry shifts. Dopamine gives way to cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone of danger. Why does your love feel dangerous to him? Because you have the power to hurt him. And to a man who survives by independence, needing someone feels like annihilation. His identity is built around being an island, self-contained, unreachable, untouchable. When you matter, you threaten that structure. You are no longer a visitor. You are a destabilizing force. His amygdala lights up, engulfment panic. And here is the part that hurts the most. When he starts to care, he does not feel butterflies. He feels pressure in his chest. Tightness, a subconscious narrative, begins running in the background. If I love her, I will lose myself. If I let her in, I won't escape. If I attach, I'll disappear. So he acts strange, distant, inconsistent, cold, not because he doesn't feel, but because he feels too much. Every request for closeness is translated as danger. You ask for reassurance. He hears a demand. You ask for time. He hears obligation. You ask for commitment. He hears a sentence. This is the paradox. With the option, the outcome doesn't matter. With you, the outcome matters too much. Losing you feels like abandonment. Keeping you feels like suffocation. So his system freezes. The false self that works so well with strangers malfunctions under real intimacy. Because you are not a mirror for validation. You are a mirror for vulnerability. And he cannot stand what he sees reflected back. So when the emotional voltage spikes, his system pulls the emergency switch. Deactivation. One moment, you feel him present, connected, open. You think you're finally reaching him. And then, click, the lights go out. The warmth disappears. Not gradually, instantly. This is not manipulation. This is a biological override. Think of an electrical circuit. When voltage exceeds capacity, the breaker trips to prevent destruction. You are high voltage. Your love floods his system with more connection than it can process. So the breaker snaps. Power cut. Now look at the option. He never deactivates with them. Why? Because they are low wattage. A night light. They never overload the system. But with you, deactivation follows a pattern. It often comes after closeness, after intimacy, after a good date. This is the vulnerability hangover. For a brief moment, he let the guard down. Immediately after, the alarm blares. You're exposed. Pull back. During deactivation, something critical happens. He loses access to object constancy. This means he cannot emotionally access love while under threat. He isn't hiding feelings. The neural pathways are blocked. He looks at you and feels numb or irritated. The voice he adored yesterday suddenly grates. This is the cost of being the real choice. You are the only one capable of triggering this response. People don't run from what doesn't matter. They run from what does. And sometimes that running turns into sabotage. It starts small, a shift in perception. Yesterday, you were perfect. Today, you're annoying. Your laugh is wrong. Your tone is off. You said something weird. Microscopic flaws become magnified. This is not reality. This is devaluation, a subconscious defense. If you remain lovable, you hold power. If you leave, it would devastate him. So his mind tries to lower your value. If he convinces himself you're flawed, detaching feels safer. He hunts for the ick. One tiny imperfection becomes a shield, held up between you and his fear. And then comes the testing, the most painful phase. He pulls away, acts cold, pushes boundaries, subconsciously screaming, "See, I'm difficult. I'm unlovable. Leave me." He is trying to force the abandonment he expects, a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you leave, he gets confirmation. Everyone leaves. If you stay within healthy limits, it breaks his script. But the testing doesn't stop, because only what matters gets tested. He never tests the option. He tests you, because losing you would hurt. And sometimes, to manage that fear, he introduces a third point, a buffer, an ex, a friend, a phantom presence, not to cheat, but to dilute intimacy. Two people is direct, intense, nowhere to hide. So he creates a triangle, diffusing the emotional laser. This is where we stop for now, because the next layer goes even deeper. And once you see it, you won't mistake indifference for preference ever again. Let's talk about the ghost in the room, because even when you are alone with him, you are never truly alone. There is always someone else. Sometimes it's an ex he mentions casually. Sometimes it's a coworker whose name comes up too often. Sometimes it's just the vague idea of other options floating in the background. You feel it, a presence you can't compete with, because it isn't fully real. This is not accidental. This is triangulation. And for a man wired like this, triangulation is not about betrayal. It is about geometry. A relationship between two people is a straight line, direct, focused, intimate. All the emotional energy moves straight from you to him. There is nowhere to hide. That line feels like a laser, pointed directly at his chest. So he bends the shape. He introduces a third point, a triangle, and suddenly the intensity diffuses. He is no longer facing you head on. He's angled away, half present, half escaped. Now let's talk about the most painful version of this, the Phantom X. This is the one that lives in your mind, long after the conversation ends. The X he speaks about, with strange reverence. The one that got away. The relationship he claims. Felt easy, natural, effortless. You feel like you're competing with a memory. And no matter how hard you try, you never seem to measure up. But here is the neurological truth. The Phantom X is safe. Because they are gone. They are not asking for time. They are not asking for presence. They are not asking for emotional labor. They have been reduced to an image. And distance deactivates fear. When fear disappears, the feelings return. He is not in love with the person. He is in love with the distance. If that person came back today and asked for a real relationship, expectations, consistency, emotional availability, he would shut down just as fast. The Phantom X is a shield, a way to say, "See, I can love. So if I don't love you the same way, the problem must be you." It's a lie his nervous system tells to stay protected. And then there are the current options, the people he keeps loosely tethered, texting, checking in, hovering, sometimes right in front of you. This isn't about replacing you. It's about regulating himself. When intimacy with you rises too high, he reaches for someone low stakes. A hit of dopamine, a palate cleanser. You are the deep ocean, vast, powerful, unforgiving. The option is the shallow pool, warm, safe, forgettable. After swimming too deep with you, he runs to splash, where nothing can drown him. It feels insulting. It feels disrespectful. And it is. But more than that, it is fear management. He is building a wall of people between his heart and your gravity. And from behind that wall, he does something that drives you to the edge. He disappears. Let's talk about the silence, the unanswered texts, the delayed replies, the read receipts that haunt you. You send something simple, a question, a thought, a moment of connection, and then nothing. An hour, 2, 6, a day. You see him online. You see activity, likes, comments, stories viewed. Your message sits there. Your mind starts to spiral. He's ignoring me. He doesn't care. He's playing games. And then you notice something that breaks you. He replies instantly to other people. Paragraphs, voice notes, energy. How can someone be too busy for the person they claim to care about, but have endless time for everyone else? Here is the answer. To him, communication is not neutral. It is effort, and effort equals exposure. When an option texts him, the cognitive load is near zero. Hey, what's up? LOL. No emotional processing required. He can reply while distracted, driving, working, half asleep, because it means nothing. But when you text him, your name alone raises the stakes. Your message is not just words. It is expectation, presence, a doorway to intimacy. Even a simple, "How was your day?" feels heavy because he knows you care. He knows you're listening. He knows a reply could open a real conversation. And that creates performance anxiety. If I reply now, she'll reply back, and then I'll be stuck. So I'll do it later. He silences the notification, pushes it away, but later never comes. Because the longer he waits, the more guilt builds. The more guilt builds, the more shame floods in, and shame triggers avoidance. So he avoids the phone, avoids you, avoids the feeling of failing someone who matters. He is not ignoring you because you are insignificant. He is avoiding you because you are not. Meanwhile, he texts others to distract himself from that guilt. Safe chatter, surface connection, a way to feel normal without facing the weight of what he's doing to you. And when he finally replies days later, "Sorry, busy week." That's it. No depth, no repair. You feel starved, like you're begging for crumbs from someone who once fed you warmth. And there is something else. He avoids even more than texting. The future. He can talk about anything else. Work, politics, random ideas. But the moment you mention tomorrow, he freezes. You've seen the contrast. He jokes with others about the future. "Yeah, we should travel someday. If we're still single at 40, let's get married. We should totally do that next year." It sounds open, adventurous, committed. And then you ask him to attend a wedding with you in 3 months. And his entire body tightens. "I don't know. Let's see. Can't say yet." This is the difference between fantasy and reality. With an option, the future is imaginary. The brain treats it like a movie. Fun, entertaining, dopamine, no logistics, no follow-through, no risk. But with you, the future is real, and real equals danger. When you ask for plans, you are not asking for a date. You are asking for containment. Commitment feels like debt. If he says yes, he feels owned by the decision. He imagines obligation months in advance, walls closing in, loss of escape. So he keeps everything vague. Maybe it's his oxygen. As long as nothing is defined, he can breathe. But here is the crack in the armor. Despite all of this, despite the distancing, the silence, the sabotage. There are moments when the system glitches, and those glitches tell the truth. He becomes emotionally dysregulated with you. Not calm, not collected. He gets defensive, overwhelmed, shut down, sometimes even panicked. This does not happen with people who don't matter. You cannot be dysregulated by something insignificant. The chaos you see is the cost of closeness. Then there is the look, the stare he doesn't mean to give when he thinks you aren't watching. With others, eye contact is polite. With you, it lingers, longing mixed with fear, like someone standing at the edge of a cliff, wanting to jump, terrified of the fall. He looks away quickly, back into the mask. But that moment told you everything. And then there is the return, the rubber band. He pushes you away, creates distance, sometimes even ends things. And yet, he never fully leaves. He watches, orbits, checks in, random messages weeks later. He cannot sever the cord, because attachment is not a choice. His conscious mind says go. His nervous system says stay. He runs to feel safe, then realizes safety without you feels empty. So he comes back, not because he is healed, but because you are. The only connection that registered. He doesn't do this with the option, because there was nothing to lose. He even remembers you in strange ways. Forgets plans, misses calls, but remembers details. Your coffee order, a story you told months ago, a song you mentioned once. His brain deprioritizes responsibility, but hoards your essence, unconsciously, because you matter. And now we arrive at the most important truth. Love and capacity are not the same thing. He may feel deeply. That does not mean he can sustain it. Being the real choice does not guarantee you will be chosen. And this is where everything turns. Because understanding this can either free you or trap you. And this is where the decision becomes unavoidable. Because this is where the knowledge stops being comforting and starts being dangerous. This is where understanding can either save you or quietly destroy you. Once you see the machinery behind his behavior, your mind wants to make a deal. You start telling yourself a story. He's not distant because he doesn't care. He's distant because he's scared. If I'm patient enough, if I'm calm enough, if I make myself easier to love, eventually he'll feel safe. This is the healing fantasy, and it is one of the most seductive lies you will ever believe, because it sounds compassionate, it sounds mature, it sounds like love, but it is a trap. You cannot love someone out of a fear response. You cannot logic your way through a nervous system that learned survival before it learned connection. You are the trigger. You cannot be the trigger and the cure at the same time. The more you try to prove you are safe, the more pressure he feels. The more you wait, the more your presence becomes something he assumes will always be there. Your patience does not heal him. It regulates him at your expense. Being the real choice feels like a badge of honor, and in some ways it is. It means you are deep, you are real, you are emotionally alive. You did not get stuck with the false self. You reached the core, but with an unhealed man. Being the real choice is also a sentence. You become the container for everything he cannot face. You receive the silence, the withdrawal, the sudden coldness. The option gets charm. You get war. The option gets the mask. You get the unfiltered fear. Ask yourself something honestly. Is it enough for you to know he secretly loves you while he openly neglects you? Because love is not a feeling hidden inside someone's chest. Love is a behavior. Love is consistency. Love is showing up, even when fear is present. If he cannot face his fear, then whatever he feels is irrelevant to your life. It cannot build safety. It cannot build trust. It cannot build a future. And here is the truth that finally cuts through the fog. The option is not winning. The option is being spared. Spared depth. Spared responsibility. Spared consequence. They are getting the easiest version of a man who is emotionally unavailable. That is not a prize. That is a placeholder. You, on the other hand, are being asked to tolerate pain in exchange for potential. And potential is the most expensive currency you will ever pay with your heart. Stop competing with the option. The option is playing a game. That isn't worth winning. They are interacting with a shell. You are interacting with the storm. And now comes the pivot, the moment where everything changes. You stop waiting to be chosen, because he is not choosing. He is frozen, standing at a crossroads, paralyzed by fear. If you stay there with him, you will freeze too. Waiting does not make him brave. It only makes you smaller. Your intensity is not a flaw. Your need for connection is not a defect. Your gravity is not too much. It only feels that way to someone who has spent their life running from depth. Do not dim yourself to make someone comfortable staying shallow. Do not soften your needs to make someone else's fear manageable. And do not mistake endurance for love. Walking away is not manipulation. It is not a tactic. It is self-preservation. If he ever heals, it will not be because you stayed and absorbed the damage. It will be because he finally had to face the void without you buffering it. He will have to feel the weight of your absence. And you deserve someone who looks at your depth and dives in, not someone who stands at the shore, testing the water and running every time it feels real. You were never an option. You were the choice. You just met someone who wasn't brave enough to make it. And that is not a reflection of your worth. That is the moment. You choose yourself, not in anger, not in revenge, but in clarity, because love should not feel like slowly disappearing. And the right man will not be afraid of your gravity. He will recognize it and step toward it, not away. If this clarified something you've been carrying alone, comment clarity below. Not for me, for you. Writing it is how the nervous system releases what it finally understands.